Welcome to Food and Beverage Purchasing Doc. My name is Dennis. Today we're going to talk a little bit about chemicals and your chemical supplier. Try to imagine, the effort you go into checking in an order when your broadliner shows up or your meat guy or your produce guy. You spend a good amount of time checking to make sure you're getting what you're paying for. However, when it comes to your chemical supplier, if you think about it, he's the only vendor that you have that controls your usage. Okay, think about that. So it's kind of like your meat vendor coming in and controlling your waste and making decisions about how you're going to process your meat and present it to your customer, et cetera, et cetera. It's really kind of the same thing. Okay, because you're trusting this chemical person to be 100% honest, and truthfully, 95% are exactly that. Okay, it's the only last 5% that, the old famous conservative Ronald Reagan said, trust but verify. That's kind of where we are in this video, to be straight with you. Wanted you to understand a little bit about what's going on with your chemical supplier, where things can go awry, etc. And really how you can create a relationship with this person and give them the opportunity to show you kind of what they're doing, okay? Okay, first of all, I'm gonna put up this screen slide called What Tip Color Chart. I found that doing our consultant business that unfortunately there's a lot of operators that don't meter the kind of taking chemical concentrate. They'll buy 4 1-gallons, whether it's window cleaner or grease cutter or all different kinds of cleaning chemicals, toilet cleaners, etc., and leave it up to their staff to mix the correct concentration. That's kind of like, without exaggeration, right there, that decision's losing you between 30 and 40%. The chemical folks call that the glug-glug method. And that's something they all kind of laugh about, to be honest with you, because, they already probably tried to explain to you they want to put this device on your mop sink with some concentrated chemical on a rack, and your people can dispense into spray bottles or right into the mop bucket or whatever chemical you're trying to control. So this chart, it identifies 2 things. One is that that chemical supplier can pick what concentration you should have. Now, is that a bad thing? Not necessarily. Okay, if this person is part of that 95%, what they're doing is they're going to give you the biggest bang for the buck because just like what you're going to find here in a minute about your warewashing, chemical concentration really is dependent, by picking the right chemical concentrations, dependent on 3 things. One is the hotness of the product. Hotness in the context of titration for dish machines, but in the context of your housekeeping chemicals, it's more a matter of the concentrate. What level of concentration is there? Like, for instance, I don't know if you do a laundry, you're probably wondering why you pay so much for the 5 gallons of bleach. Well, the bleach in bottles, and I've seen people buying bleach in bottles for their laundries and then wonder why their towels are either coarse like sandpaper or just not white. Hypochlorite levels in a bottle of bleach is like 6%. The hypochlorite level in the 15 gallons of bleach for a commercial laundry is between 12 and 15%. You get what you pay for. That's the first premise. Second is, you don't need a 15% hypochlorite on the floor. However, their chemists know what is best for the concentration of restaurant grease, etc., etc. So, in this dispenser is a metering tip. That's what this particular screen is showing. And the color denotes what size orifice in that tip, meaning what size concentration of end product. So it's going to mix the right concentration, hopefully, of chemical and water. But it doesn't hurt to ask your chemical guy, what do I have? Because there's a couple of things. One, as we talked about, the first one is the hotness of the product. The next one is your soil load. Again, just like in a dish machine. Your soil load in a sandwich shop, for instance, is going to be very, very different than a burger place that has greasy burgers, greasy French fries, greasy. Okay, your floor is going to need a lot more end-use concentration than a sandwich shop might. And lastly is water hardness. Again, just like with your dish machine, it's a lot more critical in the context of your dish machine and the chemical usage there. But hardness comes into play. All right, so with the chemical guy, he knows that you want results. So sometimes they're going to err on the side of caution. They make it a little more concentrated than it really needs to be just because they don't want to listen to you. Okay, I know it sounds terrible, but believe me, and we're going to talk about chefs a little later, at a later date. And basically what I'm about ready to talk about is ego. Okay, ego comes into play when it comes to a buyer, unfortunately. It just depends on what level of ego. Some people really have a good relationship with their salespeople. Other people just think they do. That's another whole thing. But if you're the type that just says, you know what, I don't care, just fix it. Well, that's exactly what he's going to do. And you're probably paying about 20% more than you need to. Okay, so the three issues are soil load, water hardness, okay, and quite honestly, your individual chemical salesman's attitude. Okay, now in the context of your dish machine, here comes another screen sample. And if you notice, I took this off the internet, and it basically describes what titration is. And the long and short of it, there's a long chemical formula and a chemical definition of the word titration. But the bottom line here in the context of a dish machine, it's the concentration again of the chemicals in your dish machine. Now, that's again not 100% the issue because we get down to what's the chemical? Again, how hot is it? Now, this is where hotness really comes into play. Okay, the same thing with your laundry formula. Are you just washing towels from the men's locker room that's just, typical soil, like human sweat and that kind of thing? Or are you also doing food and beverage laundry in the same laundry with a different formula? Well, they have to find the right hotness of product to offset those coffee stains on the tablecloths, maybe the strawberry stains on the buffet covers that you have, with the kids there, making their own sundaes and that kind of thing. So it's really up to that chemical guy to find the right hotness of product for your particular laundry. Most of it can be done with formulas based on soil load. Sometimes it may be wackadoo to where you're going to really need two different products, one for just for the men's locker room and another for the heavy soil load. That's something you can talk to your chemical guy about, but the point is talk to him or her. It's really important. Now, if you notice on this screen, it says with the standard alkalinity test, use a range of 0.1% to 0.3% or 3 to 9 drops on a 10 milliliter sample and 3 drops of phenolphthalein as an indicator. Basically, what that's saying is the chemical guy has up to 300% variance from 3 to 9 drops, okay, of concentration. Now, there's 3 issues again, just like we talked about for the floor. Water hardness, huge. This one, anything 6-7 grain or less, they can take care of it with the hotness of the product. In my opinion, truthfully, anything 8 or more, even 10, a lot of people don't think it's a big deal. My recommendation is to truly take a look at getting a water softener. especially those that have steamers in the kitchen, steam rooms in the men's locker room if it's a private club environment, that kind of thing. You'll definitely see a return on investment. Again, though, if you're that sandwich shop that's got 8-grain hardness, and it's a simple deal, don't even worry about it, okay? But for those that have a heavy soil load, water hardness is very important. Okay, well, that's pretty much it for me. My recommendation is have a sit down with your chemical guy or gal, have them explain what they're doing, and don't just beat them up if your glasses don't look good, because all he's going to do is jack up your concentration, and a little kind conversation could probably get you with clean glasses and not somebody who's afraid they're going to have to deal with your wrath. Okay, all right, well, let's go ahead and move to, let's get personal. All right, we talk to you soon. Thank you. If any of you that have watched any of my other past videos, you know how strongly I feel about downtime. And basically all that means is it's not a formal meeting. It's when you're standing around with the staff right before the, for the rush and so on. You can get a lot done in those 15 minutes of just talking to them about your standards, about how good they did over this or that, or food costs came in really good this week, and blah, blah, blah. And I'll talk more about all the different kinds of downtime later on. Today we're going to talk about employee evaluations. And you may think there's two different issues, but it's not. Okay, you may think we're talking about two different issues, and we're really not. What we're talking about is during evaluations, the staff should never be surprised at anything. All it should be is a summary of all the different times you sat down with a staff member explaining how grateful you were about a good lunch, watching them in their station, how well they did it, blah, blah, blah. But also it's that time sitting down with them or just pulling them to the side and saying, you know what, I noticed you're 5 minutes late. Please don't make it a thing that continues. I hate that. I really do. It's something that really bothers me. Now, it happens to everybody, so I'm not going to beat you up. I don't even care about why right now. But if it continues, our conversations are going to get more intense. That kind of thing. So by keeping them in check and with positive and negative, all your employee evaluations are going to be is a summary of all the things that's happened and how well they have kept up the good things and maybe either worked or didn't work on the not so good things. And that's really it, okay? And this is going to be the big one. I tried very hard not to make it the time that we talked about raises, because that turns the employee evaluation into nothing but a bitch session or a measure from the employee's perspective of whether they're going to get more money or not. Okay, now, you may belong to an organization where that decision is made above you. Just don't worry about it. Just do what you're told, of course. And just try to then emphasize that the increase in salary is something that comes from above based on longevity and the fact that they are doing terrific. Just kind of lessen the impact as much as you can and make it more about their performance. So anyway, that's it for me. Hope you enjoyed the video. If you did, I really appreciate you giving me the thumbs up with a like. And if you are interested in the series, I'd really appreciate you thinking of your subscription. Okay, well, thanks again. We'll talk to you soon.